Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new weekly watch video where every week I show you guys what I watched Monday through Friday. Most of all, these are horror movies or thrillers, so let's get started with Monday. I watched The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Fantastic movie right here, guys. Excellent music. It was directed by Curtis Hanson. It's got Rebecca De Mornay, where she basically fakes being a nanny for this family because of what they did to her husband. Accused him of like raping Annabelle Sciorra there, and so she gets revenge on this family, by causing accidents and basically trying to kill Claire here. And I don't know. It's just to this day. I think it holds up very, very well. And I just got this Blu-ray not too long ago, and it looks really good. So if you haven't seen The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, I definitely recommend that one for sure. The next one I watched that day is another thriller, What Lies Beneath. Fantastic movie here with an excellent score, really creepy. It was directed by Robert Zemeckis, of course, who did Back to the Future. But you have Michelle Pfeiffer and Harrison Ford, two, Class A actors. And it really has a creepy vibe to it and a really good twist that I will not give away. It has something to do with Harrison Ford and a role that he's never really done. And that's why I like this film a lot, is because he proved to me that he can play anything. Okay, he's not just Indiana Jones. He's not just Han Solo. He can be a savage, let me tell you. But yeah, this movie's great, and definitely give it a watch if you haven't. All right, moving on to Tuesday. I changed it up a bit. Wanted to do some action, so I watched Walking Tall with The Rock. This is probably one of my favorite movies with The Rock. I enjoy more of his older stuff than his newer stuff. Seems like The Rock is always in everything now, showing off his muscles, taking off his shirt. It's like, okay, dude, we know you're buff. We know you have big arms. Like in Hobbs and Shaw, he's like, oh, that's a big arm. He always has this, like, big ego about him. He always has, like, it seems like he's doing very well in Hollywood where they just give him anything he wants. I remember there was a time where Stallone was like that, Arnold was like that. But I don't know. I feel like his older films are better. Like Snitch, that's probably my favorite film with him. This one is another one. This, of course, was before he was, he got jacked like he was in Baywatch. This is really good. He basically comes home to his hometown where the town is corrupt. There's like a casino open and like there's drugs and all that stuff, and he wants to change the way the town is by running for sheriff because there's these corrupt guys that are running the casino. So he basically goes head to head with them. And Johnny Knoxville's in this. I really enjoy him in this movie too. He's really funny. But great movie. I mean, definitely recommend this if you haven't seen it. The next one I watched on Tuesday is a film with Gary Busey called Eye of the Tiger. Now, a lot of you may not even know what this movie is. This just came out not too long ago on Blu-ray. It is a Kino Lorber title, but there's also I think it's an MGM release, but it's the very first time here on Blu-ray. And you have this guy who's been serving his time in prison. He comes home, and there's this like biker gang that is taking over the town, and he basically tries to stop them from terrorizing the town. It's kind of like a lighter version, or I want to say a really lighter version of Cobra. Cobra, that biker gang, with the Night Stalker and all that, they were more vicious. I mean, it was a crazier movie. This is rated R, but it doesn't go to that level like Cobra did. But really great movie with Gary Busey at the lead. You never think you would see a movie with him doing this role, but it really works. They play Eye of the Tiger by Survivor like 2 or 3 times in this movie, and all I keep thinking is Rocky 3. But yeah, guys, like this is a good movie. 1986. Definitely check it out. All right, so moving on to Wednesday, I went back to horror and I watched Dawn of the Dead. This is the remake by Zack Snyder. Definitely one of my favorite remakes of all time as far as horror goes. I think this was a different enough remake from the original, which is still my favorite, but this was different enough. Like the mall setting, the mall wasn't really a big deal in this movie as it was in the original. It wasn't as cool as the original. It was more modern. There wasn't enough to do, it seemed like, in the mall. But what I liked about this movie was the zombies. The zombies were fast. They were running. Something that you never really saw before to that extent. I mean, they did it in like 28 Days Later, but this, I think Zack Snyder kind of souped up the zombies. And I think they're more scarier that way. Because you have a hard enough time running away from one zombie. Think about running away from 100. But yeah, it's kind of the same thing. The whole beginning is fantastic. This nurse, Sarah Pauli's character, she, her husband gets bit, or her fiance or whatever gets bit, and then she runs away. And as she's driving away, like all hell breaks loose. Like, the whole town is just under attack. Like people are turning and biting people, and cars are crashing. And she ends up at the mall. She meets these people at the mall. And then there's this guy across the parking lot at the gun store, and they're trying to communicate back and forth. Really, really cool. This movie did a good job for it being a remake. And like I said, it was different enough. That's what I liked about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. It was different enough, yet kept some of the same elements. And that's what they did here. So, that's the Scream Factory version, by the way. The next one I watched is Godzilla. This is the 1998 American attempt, American version, so to say, from the creators of Independence Day. Look, I remember seeing this movie at the theater. I remember getting the soundtrack and Puff Daddy and all that stuff. Great soundtrack. I used to listen to it all the time. And this movie, I don't think this movie is as bad as people say. It is nothing compared to the original Godzilla that we all know and love, the Toho stuff. This is a different take, and they tried to make it more realistic in that a mutating kind of lizard. What would he look like if he got bigger? Well, they made Godzilla look like a real lizard, but just big. And I can appreciate that. I mean, it was different enough where it was kind of acceptable and more interesting in that way. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I love Godzilla, the old Godzilla stuff. The old Godzilla stuff is so epic. I don't think this was bad, though. I just don't. This was directed by Roland Emmerich. Roland Emmerich does big films. He does big disaster films. He does big stuff. And I feel like this is one of his better ones. Matthew Broderick's in it. His role in this was just whatever. He was a worm. He collected worms to study them and stuff like that. But then they follow the trail that there's this big lizard going around. They're trying to figure out how to stop this lizard that's wreaking havoc in the city, and all that stuff. So it's fine. This movie is not. I don't really get the hate for it. I really don't. All right, moving on to Thursday, I watched Survive the Night. Now, this movie was recommended to me, I've said this before, it was recommended to me by Thomas, HorrorFan34, and basically, it's one of those, TV movies that is kind of rare, I want to say, because they don't, you can't really find this. There was this one website I found it, at least somewhat cheap, and they actually made a case for me. Because otherwise you would get just this, which is a burn-on-demand DVD. but that's fine. You pay like $5 extra for a case, and this is basically the original, the cover art that they always use. But this is so rare to find, and I love rare movies. I love them. But he turned me on to this, and this movie has just grown on me so much. Like, I love Judgment Night. If you guys have seen Judgment Night with Emilio Estevez, this is the female version, okay? These three women are on their way home. They're in Brooklyn, and they're out of gas. They're in a bad neighborhood, just like Judgment Night. And it's basically like a cat and mouse thing where this gang, led by this guy named Ice, they basically, I mean, he's vicious. He's he says some of the most craziest shit I've ever heard. And when he does it, he reminds me of Terry Silver from Karate Kid 3, but he's not like, he's more, I want to say he's more, what do I want to say? He's like strict on his stuff. He's not like all laughing all crazy and stuff like that like Terry, but he just has that vibe about him. But he's played by Curry Graham, and then you got Kathleen Robertson, you got Stephanie Powers in it, and Helen Shaver. And they're basically fleeing. They're trying to figure out how to survive and get out of this neighborhood and get away from these guys. And there's some people who help them along the way. There's some characters here that kind of switch sides, so to say, like they're going to be doing something for the gang, but then they switch over. I don't want to give anything away. This is definitely worth checking out, guys. It definitely is. It like I said, it's grown on me to where I wasn't sure about how I'd feel about it at first, but when Thomas would talk about it, it just got me hyped up more. So, Survive the Night, definitely cool. I have to show my dad that movie anyway. The next one is a movie that you probably never heard of. I remember renting this at the video store during the VHS days, and it is called The Haunting of Morella. Now, this movie is it's kind of hard to explain, like the whole plot. You basically got Nicole Eggert, who was in Charles in Charge, of course. She is being possessed by the spirit of her wicked mother, Morella. And she was accused of being a witch, and then she was accused of adultery and all that stuff. And basically, Morella wants to possess her and basically live again. She wants to be born again, or be young, and all that stuff. There's a lot of nudity in this. There's a lot of sex and stuff like that. But the effects are really good. The gore effects, the makeup effects. There's a shot right there of you can see that of Morella right there. She this is really good, guys. This is one of those films that I want to say it's kind of rare, but it's just one of those gems that you find on VHS. And then, I got my hands on the DVD. It may not be for everybody, but I would say definitely check it out. It's got David McCallum in it. It's got Nicole Eggert, like I said, Lana Clarkson, and Maria Ford. So, alright, moving on to Friday. I watched Return of the Living Dead 3. This movie is, let me just say this. This was a surprise. When I first saw it, coming off Return of the Living Dead 2, I didn't really care for Return of the Living Dead 2 at the time. I do like it now. It's sort of a mockery of the first. This was a totally different story, and it was kind of like a zombie love story, but they really went over the top of the gore. This movie is probably the goriest out of all the Return of the Living Deads. Even the other two, Necropolis and whatever, the Rave to the Grave. This one's very gory. And what's her name? Is it Mindy Clark? She basically gets in an accident with her boyfriend to where she dies. And the boyfriend brings her to this place where his dad works or whatever. And basically has her breathe in that trioxin stuff. or puts that tracks and stuff on her, where it makes you, it makes you come back basically. But she comes back as a zombie. She slowly starts to turn and gets hunger for brains. So to make that pain go away, or that urge, she starts to like go emo. Like she starts to cut herself, as you see right there. That's badass though. She starts to cut herself, and that makes the hunger stop, so she doesn't think about it. But the boyfriend is trying to like console her and trying to figure out like what to do about her cravings, and like trying to make her stop, and things like that. The ending is very good. I love the ending to this movie. Very, very good. I mean, this is a Vestron Video Collector Series release. This is number 4. Guys, if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. I love it. I love Return of the Living Dead 3. Last up here is Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, based off the books. I'm a huge fan of the books. I still am. I still love reading those stories. But here is those stories come to life. Some of the stories. I think a lot of the major stories are referenced here. I was hoping they'd do another one. But, you got the pale-faced lady. You got Harold the Scarecrow. You got the spider, the spot, or whatever this, where the spot on the woman's face, explodes, and then there's little spiders and stuff like that. A lot of the stories that you remember are referenced, and I love it. I love this movie. I saw it in the theater, and I was very surprised by it. And this is very good. It's very creepy. It kind of has a Stranger Things vibe with the kids, but they don't really go that far with it. But it's very enjoyable, guys. If you haven't seen this, definitely check it out. So that's what I watched Monday through Friday. And also I've been playing a game on the PS4, The Last of Us Part 2. This game is by Naughty Dog, and Naughty Dog does a lot of great stuff. And this game is visually amazing, guys. This game gets a lot of hate, and I don't understand why. I love this game, and I will defend this game. This is one of the best looking games I've ever seen. One of the best, okay? If you played it, you know what I'm talking about. Visually stunning, the combat system, the enemies, the storyline, it is epic. It is like watching a movie. There's a lot of drama, there's a lot of action, a lot of stuff in this movie, or game. It's like a movie. It's honestly, there's a lot of cutscenes that make it say, I just want to sit there and just watch it. It's like a movie. I might as well say it. It's like a movie. But there's a lot of horror elements in it. It's great. So this is what I've been playing. I have solved it before, but I'm actually going through it again to unlock like the modifiers, the game modifiers with the infinite ammos for certain weapons and things like that. So that's what I'm trying to do here. But fantastic game. I don't agree with the hate it gets, but because the reasons are stupid. The reasons are really stupid. Oh, Abby's a man. I don't like how they made Abby so strong. So there's not strong women out there. There's women who go to the gym and work out. Hell, I know the gym where that's in my town. I have a few gyms actually. There's women who have buff arms. I mean, what? Like honestly, why are people so offended by that? I don't know. I mean, are you just jealous because a woman's arms are bigger than yours? Go to the gym. Shut up. Anyway, that's what I've been that's what I've been playing, and then of course watching the movies. Anyway, that is my weekly watch. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will be back next week with another weekly watch.